Confluence is one of the India's biggest platforms connecting industry and academia. According to you, what makes this exchange meaningful beyond just collaborations?
No, that is a very interesting question. Actually, I read the questions, but what makes it interesting? I think this is the first attempt, I would say that, in this regard. And so that was a challenge that we have taken. I think we've been successful. And that's the idea of bridging the gap. Because there is a gap that is not only coming together, even understanding together, sitting together, that is also a gap. And we are bridging that gap by coming together, ideating together, listening together, and then debating together, and finally eating together, and maybe watching together to the exhibitions and all. So that togetherness, that confluence.
So further, coming to our second question, it is a continuation of this question itself. So this was, as you mentioned, to promote that interaction between industry and academia. And now we had 2 consecutive years of Confluence. So after these 2 years, how did the landscape change? How did this relationship between industry change? How was it before? You mentioned right now. Now that after 2 years, how has this relationship changed? Is it improved? Like anything new that came out of it?
Yeah, we had a review meeting today. So, we got an advisory, there is an advisory board including the academia as well as, that means our own staff members as well as the industry people. So that was the Confluence 2024, the first edition. But today when we had that, it was much broader because we had not only the academia from our set, all the Rajagiri institutions. So there was a bigger difference that happened because once we had the Confluence, the first edition, and then everybody realized that this is a good thing, we can also come together. So all the Rajagiri higher education institutions, they came together, all the heads came to the same floor and same platform, and now it became bigger, a week-long event, right? Rather than it was only a one-day event, now it became a week-long event ending with a marathon. And which, again taking care of the physique and health aspect as well. And again, the difference was with the industry as well. And this advisory is headed by V.K. Mathis, one of the leading industrialists, and they consider it as their own. I think you might have, if you were in Confluence, you might have listened the way they own these things up. They think that this is their problem. And when the valedictory happened in the presence of Chief Minister, I think V.K. Matthews did that talk and he said, okay, now Confluence 3.0 is on. So that is a big difference. So industry has got that much of confidence. So that is a difference.
Okay. With so many distinguished speakers sharing diverse perspectives at Confluence, which messages stood out the most to you?
Okay, which message? I think, for every Confluence we take a theme. Again, that is also developed as following a process because we got the advisory meetings. For the first Confluence, I think we were meeting almost every week for nearly 1.5 months, 2 months. So I think we had 7 or 8 advisory meetings. And then the future of talent was the first message. Because we realized that the nature of talent is changing because of AI and etc. But when we came to the Confluence 2.0, that landscape has changed because of the Trump's tariff and all, and the fall of free trade and protectionism is back. So because of that, everybody is scared now. So that's why, what was the theme? You remember? Sovereignty and self-reliance. Future of sovereignty and self-reliance. So we can see that, and that thing lingered throughout the entire sessions. And that was the review today we received when we had, all the industrialists were there and our academic leaders were there. And one of the industrialists, I think that was CAO Association, So this year we had CA Association also coming with us, very strong body, and chief information officers. So that is CIO. So they came together and they were telling, that theme was there, and it is very much pertinent to them because information business or IT business, they are very much affected with this the recent changes globally, internationally, and that was there. That theme was there. Yeah.
How do you see this theme relevant for today's student?
Yeah, it is very much, isn't it? Because today's students are going to become the job givers. Either you become the job givers or you become the employees, right? And it is going to affect you. The problem with the Gen Z, I think, I'm notwithstanding you guys, because you are thinking about it. Most of I think there is a general feeling that people are not thinking. I mean, the geopolitical situations and things around us, nobody is thinking. But that we have to think, because you have to have a bigger canvas, right? If you forget the bigger canvas, how can you proceed? Your professional life, everything actually changes. So very much, that's why industry and academia gap, we have to bridge that, because it's Advaita. That means no more two, it is one. Yeah.
Yeah, so the next question we had was like, one of the pre-events for Confluence was insomnia, and it is a mental issue, and it had a really good aim, so of promoting the construction of homes for those need. So this was a bit different from the main aim of Confluence, which was like a collaboration between industry and academia. So I think it had a holistic approach, but could you like elaborate a bit on why that was a pre-event?
Yeah, look, that was also in the planning stage of Confluence 2.0, because this is a week-long event, and of course an integral approach. It's not simply coming together, listening, but also experiencing. So we need programs like this. So we thought that we'll have cultural programs, and this is one of the biggest shows, and luckily we were able to pull that out. And again, we had a dance program, right, by Pravaha. And again, I think the RBS also, they have done a wonderful program at RBS auditorium with 110 dances or something like that. So they were all part of Confluence. So of course, if you are working with the youngsters without art and culture, we cannot move on.
Next question is that, so you have spearheaded this Confluence for 2 years, and
no, not me, the entire team.
Yeah, entire team, but then through it you got to interact with a lot of industrialists, as you mentioned. You got to meet them, you got to see a lot of them, you were able to hear about a lot of topics. A lot of them have mentioned in Confluence itself, but then I feel there will be something that even we might have missed. Like, you were really into it, like in class with it. So you mentioned some of the few insights you gained from it, but then was there any like particular insight, like any unique insight that you gained, at least from this year's Confluence, a very good insight that you gained that you could share with us?
Okay, one thing is, this time the departments were more involved. So that means in the first edition, when we look at the stats, the number of industry people came something like 350, around 350, but this time it was around 400, which means there was an increase. But more than the increase, last time we had people coming in bulk from some companies, for example IBS. One thing is, last time it was on a midweek. We thought a lot about it, where we had to place the Confluence, and the feedback that we got from InfoPark and CEO, after Wednesday nobody is here because of the work from home culture. So that's why I put that on Wednesday. Other thing is, that's the reason why I moved from Wednesday to then Saturday, the big event, the plenary event we moved from. But then we had another set of complications, telling that, okay, because now Saturday is not a working day, so big companies, they cannot send people in bulk to us because it's not a working day. But then we had a different approach. We said that, okay, basically it's industry academia interaction. Our academics, they have to, from the departments, they have to contact, they have to have connection. Let them call the collections, and as a result, when we look at the stats, this time we had representation from 170 plus companies out of this 400, and that is a fantastic outcome, right? So last time the company, even though we had the same number, the number of company representation was lower. Now it is a better spread, and which is a qualitative improvement, I would say. And Saturday we had more number of academic representatives as well, more than 50 academic institutions represented there. So that was there, and that was also on a Saturday, and Saturday very next to Puja holidays, and even in spite of all these things, it happened.
Further, so question is not there in the question, but then you just mentioned that industry has this more inertia than academia on changing to trends. Yeah. So I found it very curious that usually we hear it the other way around. We hear people saying that academia does not change much. But so could you like elaborate a bit more on that? Like,
I think that is true because they are depending upon their daily bread, and this is a basic problem with the Indian industries in general. And the most spoken insight which we had in today's review meeting is that we need to have our own research. Who would say that it is coming from the industry? Say that because look at the global scenario. China has got no problem because they got their own original stuff, but India is reeling because we are completely dependent upon maybe US, and we have put all the eggs on one basket, right? And now we are having that problem. So now they realize, the industry realize that now we got a big problem because we were just depending upon the service or maybe some outsourcing work that was not original. And in order to do this original work, there is no need of much creativity. There is no much research, original things. But that is hurting us. That is hurting the industry. And that is very visible. And they were not putting that much of importance to this kind of original work. That's why they were not upgrading their own employees. And that is the same case with academia as well. We also got the same problem. But I think the problem is much evident in the industry now because of the global socio-political changes globally. Now everybody is awakened. Which is a good thing.
Father, as you have mentioned, I'm sure there must have been a lot of improvement ever since the Confluence. Could you share some examples of successful collaborations?
Collaborations, yes, yeah. Of course. Like the first edition, we signed an MOU straight away with an Australian firm, and that project is taken up by artificial intelligence and data science department, something related to AI and mental health. And of course, the biggest difference, what I would say is this. That means now the staff members from our set, they can actually, very freely and warmly take up the phone and call at least some industry people. They recognize. Same is the case from the industry, from InfoPark and Smart City, or even from Technopark. Technopark, 7 companies came this time. Last time it was 0. Last time we went there, campaigned, none were there. This time we had 7 or 8. And next time we will go to maybe Bangalore or Hyderabad or Chennai. And then people are warming up. The human interaction is the first thing. And once that happens, everything will fall after that. And that is the greatest thing, I would say. Yeah.
As you mentioned, this year's Confluence, it was a multi-day thing. It was a week thing. And we had a Confluence happening in other colleges as part of the Rajagiri family, and also schools. So this year we had Confluence happening for school children also, not just college students. So could you just elaborate on that? Like what all did they get from it, and what is the vision there?
I'm happy that you picked that up.
Okay.
Nobody picked that up. I went to the school students as well this time. We started with them at the Rajagiri Vishwavadini School at Perimbavur. And good thing is, somehow ASET got a lead role because of the Atal mentoring movement. And very recently, there is from MAITI, I think central government agency, they entrusted us to mentor the adult tinkering labs within the this district and around surrounding places. And again, also the Rajagiri group of these schools also there. And so we thought that we will open up this for them. And there was a good response. And of course, I would say that they are much better occupied than even the engineering students these days. When we go to some of the schools and the amount of the quality of the maybe I would say that the labs they provide, the coding skills the students have got, basic technological skills the students have got, it is much higher. Jokingly, once I asked one of the seniors, you guys, how is the first years? Then said that we are afraid of them because they know much more than us. That's a comment I got, and which is true, I think, because they are well equipped. And again, that is also connecting, when we try to understand them, then only we will be changing ourselves. Because it has to be connection between, they are at a particular level, we have to raise their level, and from there we have to raise the level of learning and teaching in the graduate level. So we have to understand this is also again a revelation.